Hey, it's Doc, and if you don't know by now, on Thursdays, Bob and Sheri does this little thing on Facebook called Happy Hour. It is their live stream. They jump on there and hang out with you guys for about an hour or so, just grabbing a drink, talking about whatever comes to mind, and just relaxing as you get ready for the weekend. One of the more recent happy hours was really interesting, so we wanted to share it here on the Oddcast. It was Bob, Sheri, Lamar, Heather, and myself talking soap operas and school lunches.
We always have an odd one in the crowd.
So it's kind of odd.
Decidedly odd.
Doesn't that strike you as a little bit odd?
No, that doesn't strike me as a little bit odd.
It's the Bob and Sheri Oddcast, with stuff we wouldn't, couldn't, or shouldn't do on the regular show. Now, here's the Oddcast.
I loved lunch in public school. Because when I was in public school, we had lunchroom ladies that cooked.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Now they have companies that bring it in, and it's like airline food. But when I was a kid, they had lunchroom ladies with the hairnets, and they were back there cooking. Oh my gosh!
What were they cooking though?
Everything. They cooked
everything?
They cooked hamburgers. They cooked macaroni. They cooked, roast beef. I mean, and I'm telling you, the best tuna fish salad ever.
We had lunch ladies in Wyoming who cooked, Bob.
Oh, yeah.
And the food was amazing. I mean, amazing. Now, at one of my at my elementary school, the chief lunch lady was also our school bus driver. That woman did something terrible in her past life. That's all I can say. Her karma done got served.
I'll say.
We would come in a line, and I started picking out the different lunchroom ladies, what they served. And I would tell them how nice looking they were today, and I'd be talking to them and ask them if they had a good weekend. And they'd give me a little.
You were a player, like
yeah, but I was a player for more tuna fish.
What a bunch of bullshit! Are you kidding?
No. I would be talking smack to them women, and they would count the people, like they're doing the serving, and they would count, and then they would see which one was my tray. My tray was a good tray. My tray had plenty of food.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you, young men, you can learn from this.
I got to take some notes.
Yeah, I'm telling you. How about you, Doc?
That's how I found out the secret to their tuna fish, because I asked one of the lunchroom ladies. I said,
"You did not."
I'm like,
not ask a lunchroom lady what's the secret to her tuna fish.
I'm 11 years old, and I'm like, this tuna fish is the best tuna fish I've ever had. And she said, well, thank you. And I said, but it's different. My mom makes tuna fish, but it's not as good as yours. Can you tell me? I said, I know there's a secret. What's the secret? And she looked around and she said, chop up some apple, mayonnaise, pickle, but chop up some apple and put it in there. Rinse the tuna fish, chop up some apple. So I went home, got me a can of tuna fish, opened that bad boy up, rinsed it off in the sink, put it in a bowl, put some Duke's mayonnaise in there, a little bit of pickle relish, and I chopped up an apple. My life has never been the same. It was awesome.
Whoa. Unbelievable.
What an interesting little trick that is. Who would have ever guessed?
That was my favorite meal.
Every man you were.
Every time we had it, you'd get a scoop of tuna fish on a bed of lettuce, and you would get half of a baked potato. Oh my gosh, it was awesome.
Never in a million years have thought to put apple in tuna fish.
Ever. I would never. I put Tabasco sauce in mine.
Okay.
And I might chop up a pickle if I'm feeling.
No. Listen to me. I took her recipe, and once I got to be an adult, I took it to another level. I get white albacore tuna. Don't get that regular stuff. Get the white albacore tuna. Okay.
Yeah.
Rinse it. Then dice up some apple. Okay. Cut up some grapes. And when you do the grapes, you have to cut the grape in half, and then you have to cut it again, so that each grape is cut into quarters, okay? So it's small. So you've got, now, then you chop up a little bit of onion. If you're onion, I like onion, so chop up some onion.
Yeah.
But then get broccoli crowns, okay? Take the broccoli crowns.
Glory, there's a whole buffet in this tuna box.
And start cutting the broccoli on the top of the crown so that it sort of shreds the broccoli so it's really fine. Put that in there.
I totally agree with all of that. I mean, I've had chicken salad where they cut up grapes, and it really has made a difference, and maybe a few walnut pieces.
Yes, walnuts are
I'm
good too.
very surprised that you would put broccoli in there. Very surprised.
It is so great. It really is.
How many people here, raise your hands, are surprised that Lamar from Georgia was putting broccoli in his food? Oh,
I'm a big broccoli eater. I love broccoli.
how about you, Doc? What was school food like for you?
So it was weird because for a long time, my sisters and I, we didn't really partake in the school lunch. We would take our lunches. So other than like pizza day or like the chicken sandwich day, we would bring our own lunches in.
Right.
Well, we would get our parents would give us the money for the chocolate milk. So that's the part that I remember the most.
Nice.
And I had that almost every day for 12, 13 years and haven't had it since.
I love chocolate milk.
Isn't that funny how that was like your every day, and then one day it was over and you never looked back, never did it again?
I don't think I could take it now.
I grew up in an Italian town, like 45% of the population were Italian. And, it was good when you went out to a pizza restaurant, but it really wasn't that helpful going to school, because you can take some pasta stuff and make big vats of it. And it was just filling. And I got some ravioli once. They would have like ravioli on Monday, spaghetti and meatballs on Tuesday, and these are in big vats. The pizza thing on Wednesday. I mean, the carbs were just unbelievable. And of course, there would be fish on Friday because obviously it was Catholic town. I got the ravioli once, and I went into it, and there was a bolt from the what do you call it? The steam cabinet thing. A bolt from the steam cabinet fell into my ravioli, and I brought it up and I said, "There's a bolt in my ravioli," and they said, "Stop it!" And they threw the bolt away and ignored me.
Things that only happen to Bob. Oh.
I know. And I told my mother and father, and they went, "Stop it. Just stop with what you're doing. There's a bolt in my ravioli."
What I like about that is they gaslighted you. They turned it around.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
And made it like, you little punk.
I know.
You're coming up here complaining about a bolt in your ravioli. Go sit down.
I know.
Did you have the ravioli after that, or were you just
You had no
slowly
choice. No, you had no choice. But I was more careful. I was,
You were checking it for metal.
Exactly. Yeah. I like a little iron in my food, but come on. Jennifer Smith says, "I think Lamar needs to review the Hallmark movies with Tom Arnold in it." Is there more than one?
I think there's just the one. It was that one we talked about the other day where you guessed.
I'm not afraid of a Hallmark movie. A few years ago, Sheri says, "I think it would be really funny if you reviewed a Hallmark movie." And I'm like, "Well, okay." Well, I reviewed the Hallmark movie, and then I watched another Hallmark movie and another Hallmark. Next thing I know, me and Carla are sitting down watching nonstop Hallmark movie.
How can you do that? You're such a man's man. How could you?
I know, but listen. I'm a man's man, but I like romance. I like to see, and Hallmark is going to be a happy ending. I don't care what happens.
Yeah, they're so addicting
at the end, and I like I like it. I mean, I like for everything to work out. And I'm really, we watched a bunch of Hallmark.
Lamar, listen to this suggestion from Cheryl Newton. She says, "OMG, yes. For the month of December, Lamar reviews a Hallmark Christmas movie every day." That would be pretty funny. Oh my gosh, that would be good. Could you even do that?
Yeah. Good luck to you, pal.
I'm a sucker for that stuff. I'm a sucker for I mean, it's all right.
I know. You know what it comes down to? I mean, the world is such an ugly place so often, and there's so much just animosity.
Hallmark's not a problem.
Yeah.
Lamar, did you watch soap operas growing up?
Well, all right. I did when I was a kid, small child, my mom worked. And so I stayed with an aunt, which wasn't really my aunt, but you know how that goes. You call her your aunt. And she watched the soap operas in the afternoons. And so during the morning, now this is a difference in childhood. I'm out in the middle of nowhere in the country. So if I wanted to get a soft drink, I would have to walk up and down these dirt roads in the country and find bottles on the side of the road. And I would gather up all the bottles, and you had deposits on the bottles. So you get 3 cents deposit on each bottle. And so I'd get enough bottles to go get an RC Cola. And then I would go back to my aunt's place when the soap operas came on, and she'd make me peanut butter and crackers. And I would
was Opie there too? Was Opie and Floyd there?
Listen. We all can't be in the luxurious Maine. What you're doing up there with a big restaurant and eating lobster. And
we were broke. We were bankrupt.
I'm in Georgia, going up and down dirt roads looking for damn bottles on the side of the road so I can get a drink. What are you talking about?
Don't you paint me as some effete Yankee.
We
were living in a one-room freaking school.
Let me tell you something. In Hartwell, Georgia, out in the middle of nowhere, there wasn't no Pepe's Pizza, okay? I'm just telling you.
We'll be right back with who was more poor in his upbringing in just a minute.
But she watched the CBS shows. And so I would sit in there with her and watch them. So when I grew up, and I'm on the beer truck working back then, it was at Slits when I first started. But everywhere you went, the bars during the day, like the people that worked third shift, they would, come into the bars early in the morning. And so their bars had people all day long. Yeah. And when you were in the bars in the afternoon, all these men are sitting at the bar and they're watching The Young and the Restless, As the World Turns.
Really?
They're watching all of that. And honestly, from watching that as a kid, I knew even then, you're talking 20 years later, I'm still recognizing the same people.
Yeah.
I mean, Victor Newman.
Morgan Fairchild will always be with us. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I watched them.
That is so interesting that those guys would sit there and watch that.
Well,
so let me ask you, they would come off a third shift, right? So that's about what, 7 a.m?
Yeah.
And
those guys were watching game shows. Those guys were watching game shows.
Well, think about it, Bob. This is before a million versions of ESPN.
Yeah, right.
Like what was there to watch but game shows and Days of Our Lives?
It was weird to go into a bar in the morning at 8 o'clock and the guy's sitting there and he's got a sausage and egg sandwich and a cold beer. But for him, he just got off work. So for him, it's like nighttime,
Yeah. What an interesting, I never thought about that. And I lived in a town with people going to a helicopter factory 3 shifts.
Yeah.
But I never thought about that, coming off and having a shot in a beer at 7:15 in the morning.
And it's what's on, the price is right. Listen to what Teresa Broom
Bob Barker, baby.
She said, I watched General Hospital after school until I was in 3rd grade. That's when I made the mistake of asking my mom what artificial insemination was. General Hospital for me. Yeah, you can get a real education.
I remember having the flu and being home and watching one of the soap operas, and it's just like burned in my brain that there was like one character trapped in a cage, and I still think about that sometime. Like, what a wild week that was, whereas somebody had
to be Days of Our Lives. They had demonic possession. The town blew up at one point.
But there was somebody trapped in a cage.
Victor Newman kept a man in his basement for months. I mean,
what?
Oh yeah. He kept him captive for months. Oh yeah. Victor Newman, I watched him over the years. He would be a good guy and a bad guy and a good guy.
Oh, Victor. Yeah.
We had I guess probably 30 years ago, we had a grocery store chain in my area was Bilo, and they would have a big show at the auditorium, and they would bring in soap opera stars to pull people in. And I got to meet Victor Newman. It was awesome. I mean,
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what I would give to see the picture of you with Victor back in the day. You know that Jennifer Aniston's father was a giant star of Days of Our Lives.
Good look. Oh God, good looking man. I mean,
John
handsome
Aniston.
man.
Yeah.
That's right.
Vic-
That's right.
I mean, no,
he was on Days of Our Lives probably before like I was born until I think he died. And he died just a few years ago, right? It's very recent. Massive star of that daytime.
Dick Clark was so right. You and I interviewed Dick Clark once, well, more than once, but he said, one of the reasons that so many people come out of Los Angeles and end up on TV shows or in the movies, bless you, was that their parents, who were the best looking people in their local towns, in Georgia, in Kansas, wherever it may be, they looked at themselves in the mirror and they went to Los Angeles. And there's only so many people that can make it.
Yeah.
But they're really good looking.
Oh, yeah.
And they meet somebody else who's really good looking, and she didn't make it either, but they're in LA and they have kids. And guess what the kids look like?
And that's that.
Stars.
Oh, yeah.
That great line from that old song. And all the stars that never were are parking cars and pumping gas.
Yeah. The Dionne Warwick song. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The date, there aren't that many left. A lot of the daytime soaps are gone.
There's still a few, but
there's a
most
few.
Which ones are still on? I don't even know.
Like All My Children's still on. Young and the Restless is still on.
Is still on.
Is Bold and the Beautiful still on?
I don't
think so. Days of Our Lives is still on. Is
General
Young
and the Restless? I got caught up in some of those storylines. I mean, I really did. I mean,
with the Young and the Restless?
Yeah, that was a.
Yeah. Yeah. Why are they so restless? These young? Do they?
Because they're young.
It's the youth.
It's the youth.
It says that General Hospital is still on, Days of Our Lives is still on, and The Young and the Restless is still on.
With the Golden Bachelor, they should bring back like The Old and the Useless. Too harsh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But see, I think people watch. Now, you either watched your soaps on ABC or CBS or NBC, because I think General Hospital was NBC. All the stuff.
No, General Hospital was ABC. Days of Our
okay.
Lives, because my grandmother was a Days of Our Lives, Another World viewer. But all of my friends in high school, their moms were all into General Hospital, and All My Children. It was very difficult. The cultural clash was very.
But here's the great thing that happened for kids: Dark Shadows.
Oh yeah.
Barnabas Collins in Dark Shadows, and Quentin Collins. Oh,
we've had people online commenting on Dark Shadows there.
Oh yeah, Barnabas.
Spooky.
I know about it. I've never seen it.
Oh, it's so spooky.
Oh, listen, Sheri. This would have been made for you.
Is it on YouTube?
Oh yeah.
The hero of the show
was for her.
Barnabas Collins. And he was a vampire, and he was a good vampire. He was a really good vampire. And then there was Quentin, and oh my gosh, and
the music was so creepy that started it out.
Like on every day, like a daytime soap
every day,
opera?
every day,
5 days a week.
Yeah,
Jerry,
3:30 in the afternoon.
You can stream it on Peacock, apparently.
On Peacock? See, there was, because of, all my years without television, like there are these weird, wild gaps. And so I've only read about Dark Shadows. And
Sweetheart, you were not born then. You were not born.
Oh no, I think wasn't it on TV? Like in the
I was a kid. I was a child. I was elementary or junior high. Yeah, no, I was in elementary school because I wouldn't have watched it in junior high, but I read the book.
I was in graduate school when it came out.
So wait, I have a question. You're telling me that 5 days a week there was a daytime soap opera about a family of helpful vampires?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. There was a werewolf too. There was a werewolf.
Shut up. That's amazing. Why don't they bring that back?
Was it-
That's so good.
Because the drugs were better back then is the only answer that I have.
Was Quentin wasn't a vampire? He was a werewolf. Quentin was a werewolf.
I don't know. I didn't watch
He was a werewolf.
My God.
So-
My
so
God.
wait.
Things were slow in Georgia.
I have
Jeez.
so many questions. The other people on the show, was everyone vampire-y and
No.
werewolves, or were there regular townspeople?
They were regular people, and oh my, I just, oh God, what a show! What a show! And the first thing we would do at school the next morning was talk about what we watched on Dark Shadows. This is why Georgia was number 50. No, I'm sorry. We were 49. Our motto was "Thank God for Mississippi." We were 49 in education.
Wait. Did the vampires like drink the blood of the townspeople?
No, they never showed that, I don't think. I never
Not
watched
in a bad way.
one of them
Not
all the
in
way
a bad
through.
way.
What do you mean not in a bad way? Like
Well, I
in a good way.
I mean,
I got to know that answer too.
there was some. Listen. Quentin would only drink the blood of like a bad person, a really bad.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
But they didn't. I mean, once again, I've never really watched the show. I saw.
No, you know what?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Okay,
But
okay.
would they show him like drinking the blood of a bad person? Because
They
there's
would-
some
they would
bad
not-
people I would be
they-
willing to do
They
that
would
with.
show him raising up and having blood. Just a little bit of blood.
Ah,
Okay, so next
okay.
question. Were they old school vampires? Like they couldn't go out in the sun, or were they Twilight vampires and they sparkled?
No.
He
This
used,
was
he
old
used
school.
sunscreen. He used a lot of sunscreen. It was just the
Twilight's
beginning
not
of it.
like a real Twilight. They don't even have fangs. Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, I watched all the Twilight movies, but please, they don't have fangs.
No,
Barnabas
that guy had
had
fangs. I saw it in the promos when I
Yeah,
was.
but they would only come out when it was time to bite somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next question. Did the townspeople in Dark Shadows, like General Hospital is set in Port Charles, Days of Our Lives is set in Salem. Did the townspeople in Dark Shadows know that the folks in that big Gothic house were vampires and werewolves?
No,
No?
it was fairly secret because Barnabas, look, he was a normal guy, but vampires are always rich, I guess, because they've lived for so long. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I mean, compounding interest can really work for you if you're a vampire.
The magic of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
You
set,
need to
it was
watch it,
set in Barnstable, Massachusetts, the headquarters of Greater Media. That's
Say no more. Yeah. Say no more. The townspeople knew they were bloodsuckers then. Yes. Got it. So why did this magnificent daily vampire soap opera go away?
I think I outgrew it. I don't know because it ran for a long time, and like I say, they had a bunch of novels, little paperback novels, and I read those like, oh my gosh, I read those all the time.
spookiest music ever on a TV show. Because I was a young kid and I would hear in the background at 3:30 in the afternoon. I would go, what is that?
And when Barnabas, he always had the shot of him he was holding his cane and he would have his hand over the top and he had this really big ring, which was like, and he, oh yeah.
So Bob, did your mother, I can't picture Mary watching the original Mary Lacey. I can't picture her watching this.
No, my mother did not watch any soap operas unless she was over at Connie Zimmerman's house. She would bring me over to Connie Zimmerman's house because she had she couldn't leave me alone in the house. And the two of them would drink coffee, smoke cigarettes, and talk about how shitty their husbands were. And they would put me in front of the TV, and all I can remember are the words, "Search for tomorrow." And that was
as sand in an hourglass.
Exactly. And I'd sit there. What was going on? But it was on in the background. She didn't do that. I just thought about that the other day. I love my mother so much, and everybody called her Saint Mary. But once in a while, I would walk into the house and she didn't know I was there. And I could hear her talking to herself. And it wasn't something that was funny, but I think she was answering my father's bullshit.
Oh, after he was gone. Yeah.
After he was gone.
Yeah.
So she didn't do the soap opera thing. I never saw her watch one of those things, but I did see her in the kitchen with a cigarette going, well, that is wrong. And you're wrong. You know, that was her soap opera.
Well, can I say in defense of soap operas, because my grandma loved Days of Our Lives and Another World. This was someone whose husband was always away. My papa was in the Navy. He was always away at sea.
Right.
She did not drive. There was no internet. There were her parasocial relationships were with the characters on these soap operas. And they filled a wonderful need for her there was like drama and story and
escape. It was such an escape because all these people, money was never a situation.
Right.
The money was never. Everybody, money was no problem. They had other troubles. They had, but no. Everybody was.
So let's ask Doc and Heather. Did anybody in your family watch these shows? Did you watch these shows? There's only a handful of them left.
Aside from being sick at home with the flu, I don't remember really watching any. I think maybe.
Did your grandmother not watch them?
I don't ever remember her watching them, but I'm sure she did. But she was a very busy lady, always going all the time.
Yeah. And so my mom, she watched the CBS soap operas and Days of Our Lives. Yes. I was really big into this soap opera. I saw somebody mention it in the comments. It was called Passions. And I was so obsessed with it. I
remember that.
I convinced my roommates, I was in college at the time. I convinced my roommates to start watching it with me because there was this one storyline that it took them like 6 months of this woman she'd gotten kidnapped by this other jealous girl. She had her kidnapped and dropped in her basement. She was stuck in the basement for like 6 months. I loved it. It was so weird. And they had magic and there was a witch.
She was dropped in a basement for 6 months.
Yes, that's what you do in a soap opera with your enemy. You kidnap them and you keep them in the basement and you don't let them out. Yes.
Hey, why didn't we do that with Greater Media? If we knew that
because they did that to us. We got there first.
Okay. Yeah, that's why my office was in the basement. Bob, did you ever see me go home?
That's right. You were captured. Oh my God, you were.
You can join Bob and Sheri's live happy hours Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bob and Sheri Facebook page. And if you miss it, don't worry. We always save a copy of it so that you can watch it later. You can watch it on the Bob and Sheri Facebook page. Or you can also go to YouTube and just search Bob and Sheri Happy Hour, and you'll find our YouTube channel, and you can watch it there as well. Episodes of the Oddcasts are on Monday, Talking Lamar on Fridays. And for more Bob and Sheri stuff, you can check out bobandsheri.com. We'll catch you next time on the Oddcast.